Welcome to Red Bulk Podcast. This podcast was created by James Schwarz, aka TalentHatter, to facilitate the need of a community-centered podcast concerning YouTube and its surrounding medias. This idea is phase 2 of an ever-developing plan to provide a voice to the communities of YouTube. On today's episode, we sit down with executive producer Noah and discuss age differences and the development speed of technology. Today's music provided by Aiden Jones. You can find him on YouTube and Bandcamp by searching Aiden Jones. If you are interested in being on the podcast, please send us an email at redbulkpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories. I have here today Mr. Noah, who is our first ever executive producer of Red Bulk Podcast. Welcome, Noah.
Hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Good. So are you pretty excited about the project?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see the various directions in which it'll go as, it continues to evolve as time passes.
Definitely. On our last episode, we talked a bit about the podcasting world, and we talked to Mr. Tom about all the different things he's involved in. What are some of the projects you're involved with here on the internet?
So, last fall, my sister studied abroad in France, and she and I did a 4-month back-and-forth video blog that was called Sibling 2.0. Which was a lot of fun. We kind of lost our steam towards the end there, but it was fun while it lasted. And other than that, there's just my main channel, Master Joey Concho. And yeah, I guess I'm involved in this project now.
How long have you been on the YouTubes and the internet?
To interact with people and making videos and stuff, I've been doing for about 2.5 years.
Excellent. And how old are you now?
I am 14.
So you are definitely on the younger side of internet goers.
Yep.
Does that offer you kind of a different perspective than all of us old farts?
I think it does provide a different perspective. I do remember having dial-up because we had it in my house for the first probably 5 or 6 years of my life. And then when my parents split, I think was when my mom made the change to Wi-Fi. I've always had the internet there. It used to be slower than it is now. But, I think that there are people who are even younger than me who take it completely for granted.
Yeah.
And that is really weird to me. Like, there are a lot of people who I used to interact with at my old school who were younger than me and who took things like Wi-Fi for granted. I, being a little bit older than them, can remember a time when that was not a thing that was readily available all the time.
Wi-Fi used to be this big deal, and you could only get it in certain locations and big businesses, and now it's a household common item. It's really cool.
Yeah. Because even when my dad moved out and was first living in his apartment, we still had Ethernet there. And that was probably 2007 or 2008. Especially now, technology and the internet are evolving so quickly that there are people who aren't that much younger than me who will have a completely different perspective on that sort of stuff.
Definitely, for sure. What kind of communities have you been involved with on YouTube? Do you have a lot of friends here on the internet that you talk to on a regular basis?
There's a group of friends of mine. It was like my original internet friends. We're called the Uncredibles. And we haven't had a Google Hangout in a while, which is a shame. But we just met through like mutual connections and well, originally, my friend Emma and I were like the founding members of it. And Emma has a collab channel called Hobbit Party with her friend Alex, who is also my friend. And so it just sort of like formed out of mutual friendships and that's like 5 people. And then I'm also part of the Seahorses, which is a like the fandom of the Lizzie Bennett Diaries.
Why are you guys called the Seahorses? That's
I
kind of
don't
weird.
know.
Yeah?
I have no idea.
That's just one of those things, huh?
Yeah. And I was part of Granny for like a week, but then that whole thing happened.
Yeah, Granny's definitely a interesting niche of the internet.
Yeah. I still know a lot of people who are in it, though.
Yeah, that's good that you kept some of those relationships going.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, like my Twitter followers, you can tell like when they're from by like the groups that they came in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely interesting, especially since so many places keep an internet history in a chronological order, to kind of see how you've evolved over time and when people have found you and what projects were around that time.
Yeah.
So, VidCon is coming up soon. Are you excited for that?
Yes. Yes, I am. My business cards actually came in the mail yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, there are like 100 of them, and I don't need that many for VidCon.
Right.
I'll probably just take like 50 or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Take 50 with you a day. Just keep them in a rubber band pack and stuff.
Yeah.
So, what else would you like to talk about? This is your time, Mr. Executive Producer.
There was something interesting that happened on YouTube about a week ago. I don't know if you saw it when they totally integrated Google Plus and allowed people to change their usernames.
Yes, I did. I saw that. It was quite interesting.
And I'm not gonna lie, I thought about changing mine just because I've been rebranding over the past 4 months or so.
Right, you're switching over from Master Joey Cancho to Hey Earthlings.
Yeah. But what ended up happening was the day that happened was the day that I ordered my business cards, and they were already like on the way and being made. So I think that if that remains to be an option, I'll do it at some point. But I can't do it until after VidCon.
Right. You don't want to confuse people.
I do think, though, that can be helpful because, a lot of people choose their usernames when they're younger
Right.
and then end up regretting them later on. Like, I was 11 when I started making videos.
That is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy. I was 18. So I was already in my adult life, and yeah, that's so weird to me to think that people are so young on the internet. It's crazy, but I'm glad they are. It's providing them good outlets and good forms of communication, and it's providing them a lot of information that we didn't have access to back when I was a kid.
What's interesting about the fact that I was so young when I started making videos is that, I don't have to constantly think of new ideas and new, like, sort of plots for my videos
Right.
because I'm naturally growing and changing and my audience is watching me do that. Alex Day was talking about this in one of his videos about how, oftentimes, like with TV shows, the writers will have to think of new ideas constantly, whereas with YouTube, we all start in the same, like, usually the same, like, 5 or so year interval. Some of us started later on,
Right.
but, like, most people who are being on the internet now were anywhere from, like, 15 to 20 when they started making videos.
Yeah.
And then there was sort of a second wave that was, like, 10 to 15,
Yeah.
And both of those groups, I think, have the benefit of being younger, and so they don't have to constantly think of new ideas because, they are constantly changing as people. Like, if you go back and watch my old videos, it's like you're looking at completely different person.
I know how that is. I know how that is.
The biggest thing for me has been the pitch of my voice.
Yeah. Yeah, as you get older, things change.
Yeah. And like the things that I'm interested are much different now. Are much different now, I think, uh, than they were almost 3 years ago, and that baffles me that that was almost 3 years ago when I
Yeah.
started making videos.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we actually started making videos around the same time because I've been on the internet for 3 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting how many different like subcircles there are on the internet that it's
Yeah,
taken me that 3 years just to find your channel.
and it's constantly getting bigger. You know,
Yeah.
I have the benefit of having some friends in relatively high places. You
Yeah.
know, uh, and so people see, oh, this person likes Noah. Why don't I go check that person out?
Yeah. It's the natural progression of the internet and communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it does help to like actually have friends who are on the internet, because I used to tell all of my IRL friends about my videos. Now, very few of them know about those.
That's kind of how I would get my start on the internet. I would tell my friends about it, and some of them
Mm-hmm.
cared, some of them didn't. And as I've progressed, I've realized that I don't want my real life people to watch my videos because that's
Yeah,
weird and it's awkward when I run into them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know what's going on. I watch your videos." And I'm like, "That's weird for me to
yeah.
hear because I remember you in a certain way and fashion, and I have no idea how you have changed as a person."
It is weird. Like the concept of watching videos is weird when you actually stop to think about it, because you were literally getting a gateway into that person's life. You
Yes.
know,
Yes, you are. It's very trippy. It's new age and it's weird and it's something that we haven't really experienced before in terms of media.
there are a lot of people who, are putting themselves out there in a much less gratuitous way.
That's true. That is definitely true. But I think we're moving towards an era in which people are more accepting of online video and online content creators. And I think in a couple years there will be a day when you can just go up to someone and say, "Yeah, I make videos on the internet." And they'll go, "Oh, cool. What's your channel?" And just automatically know
Yeah.
that you're talking about YouTube and you're talking about, this kind of weird new agey art form and media
Hmm.
source.
And it's so multifaceted too, which I think is really great. The fact that YouTube, like, there's not just a set amount of things you can do with
Yes.
it. People are constantly thinking of new ideas, and obviously, with the internet, there is almost no original thought, but people are constantly thinking of new sort of versions of older ideas, and that really excites me. That it's like an infinite chalkboard that has almost nothing on it, and we've barely scratched the surface of things that we can do with the internet.
The internet is relatively new,
Mm-hmm.
especially accessible high speed internet. And if we're just talking
Mm-hmm.
about the world of online video, that's extremely new.
Yeah.
We've been up for maybe a decade of doing
Mm-hmm.
high speed internet and, YouTube as a thing. That is an extraordinarily small amount of time in terms
Yeah.
of media sources because print media like books and newspapers, magazines, articles, that has been around for ages, and so
Yeah.
has picture video and the film industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And they're still thinking of new ideas for movies and books, and I think that things like newspapers, and this is like the cliche of things that are going obsolete, but newspapers in physical form, I think, will not be around much longer. But books, physical books, I don't think that those are going anywhere in the foreseeable future. Not until we have a better alternative because right now the sort of Kindle interface is good, but it's not that good.
Well, Noah, thank you so much for your time. I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation we've had, and I'm pretty sure we can get a lot out of it for the podcast. So thank you very much for being here. Is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to?
I don't know. I'll give a shout out to my friend Emma. Her channel is Zombie Arms, but with a 0 instead of an O in zombie. She's really good. She doesn't make videos that often, but the videos she does make are good.
That's it for today's episode. This podcast can be found on Twitter, Libsyn, Tumblr, Facebook, Patreon, and iTunes, all under Red Bulk Podcast. My name is James Schwarz, and I will see you all next time.
I had no sufferings, I imagine.